So this video is all about my journey doing the CrossFit Open 25.1, 2 and 3 during my third trimester. I decided to do the CrossFit Open this year because I do it every year. I don't necessarily compete competitively. I don't necessarily sign up, but I do participate in our kind of local gym type competitions. And they always really push me physically, mentally, and I know that for me it's a really good way of each year just giving me something that's not too intense to basically compete in, if that makes sense. And despite being pregnant, I didn't want to stop that. I've tried to stick to as much as my normal routine as possible. During the first trimester, I was completely out of routine. I wasn't in a great place. You can watch some of my other videos, me talking about it. And then the second trimester, I also really struggled. But towards the end of my second trimester and my third trimester, I've been and felt amazing. So I did decide to compete. I unfortunately had to do each competition twice. And the reason being is because on a Friday, that's when I do my CrossFit training, because it's where my local CrossFit box is located, and it just falls into my day and my routine really well at lunchtime. And because the Open is usually done on a Friday, because it's released on a Thursday night in the UK, or the competition information is, the gyms basically run them on the Fridays. Now, I'd already signed up to an alternative gym to compete, my old gym, which I have lots of friends there, just to kind of participate in. And I know most of the people competing as well, so it's quite nice to just go back and see them and do that. I didn't know that my local gym was going to be putting the competitions as the classes, so that's why I had to do them twice. Yep. So good and bad, okay? So the good thing is I got to practice the workouts. I got to really understand the workouts before actually going into a more competition setting. The bad thing is sometimes they wiped me out. So I was really exhausted, and let alone being not pregnant and doing an open workout twice in a day. Being pregnant and doing an open workout twice in a day is really hard. And the competition side of things, I was doing that after 6 p.m. on a Friday. And usually after 6 p.m. on a Friday, I am absolutely exhausted. So that's kind of the first reason. I've got my notes here, why I decided to do the Open pregnant. A lot of people are like, "You're mad. Why did you do that?" But it's a mental thing, and I think as soon as you start to have this defeatist mindset, then it's really easy to stop exercising. It's really easy to stop doing things that you would usually do, and there's no scientific evidence to suggest that I shouldn't be doing it, unless it's, for example, like a 1 rep max type of movement. I felt amazing during the workouts. Like, I felt really strong. I did have to skip the second week in a competitive situation, so I did it as a kind of practice round during my lunchtime class, but I didn't compete in the end because I was just so exhausted that day. It could have been because of the Open, it could have been because I was just pregnant, it could have been just because I was doing too much, who knows. And I just want to quickly go through what the Open is, in case you don't know what CrossFit is, or if you know what CrossFit is but you don't know what the CrossFit Open is, because I think a lot of people do get confused. The CrossFit Open is basically a competition that happens over 3 weeks. It's 3x3 workouts, let's say. Week 1, week 2, week 3. The workouts are released on a Thursday, I think at 8 p.m. UK time. I don't know what that is in America, but obviously they're released in America at some sort of time, and then the actual like elite CrossFit athletes compete there and then. Because we get it on a Thursday night, most places will put on their competitions on a Friday for athletes to compete in. Each workout lasts about 20 minutes. It could be shorter, it could be a little bit longer, but I don't really see any Open workouts lasting longer than 20 minutes. I am going to go through each of the workouts later that I competed in, just so you can gauge a better understanding as to how intense it can be. And then that's pretty much it. And then if you compete and you enter yourself into the CrossFit Open, which is like just an online registration, you will be ranked against everybody else in the whole entire world include, like, you could also filter it down to like the UK, but you basically get a ranking, and you could be like 373rd in the world, for example, or you could be like 27th in the UK. So you can kind of compare and see where you're ranking. It does take into consideration your age. So there are masters, there are juniors, and it also takes into consideration your gender. So it's quite nice. Sometimes you're like, oh, I did much better. Like, I'm 18th for this. I ranked 18th for this workout in the UK, and you're like, brilliant. And then also you've got kind of your local gyms that run internal competitions, and they're not published anywhere, but it could be, for example, like you're competing against the people within your specific gym. And that's what I did. I competed against people within 3M Fitness. So they're located in they've just moved location from Wateringbury. They are based in Maidstone, but just the outskirts of Maidstone, kind of borderline Tunbridge Wells. So so that's what I did, and that's why I did it. So yeah, that is why I did it, and that is what the CrossFit Open is. So I've just bought some new RADs, which are a trainer. I don't know if you can get them everywhere, but I think you can pretty much get them in most places. But they're really, really popular CrossFit trainers. I bought them off eBay, brand new, and I got to wear them for the Open, which was so exciting. So being pregnant and doing the CrossFit Open this year, 2025, did have some challenges. So the first kind of main challenge was the fatigue. Luckily, in my third trimester, I haven't had any nausea, I haven't had any sickness, but I am tired. And I'm usually tired without being pregnant on a Friday evening, let alone being pregnancy tired. So that was a real challenge, because it was a real slog to like motivate myself and get them. Also, I work really hard on a Friday. Fridays are a big working day for me. So my brain is fried, my body is tired, I do a lot of driving, all of that stuff. So that was a big challenge for me. Another challenge is because I was doing it twice in one day, my body was also tired. Luckily, I did beat my scores every single time I did it, just because I think that's the type of person I am. I had consciously gone into the first workout, the practice workout, knowing that I'm going to be doing it later. So I didn't push myself as hard. I just used it as an opportunity to understand the movements, what I could do physically, and how I could pace myself throughout the workout. And then the next side of things was the movement. So that was a big challenge, because sometimes I could do RX movements and sometimes I couldn't. For example, pull-ups. I can do about 3 RX pull-ups and that's it. And then I really start to feel it in my core, because now I've reached that point where my belly's so big that my muscles have separated. I don't really have much core strength. So anything core-based was really challenging. There were pull-ups in one of the workouts. Another issue was handstand walks, going upside down fully. Now, you can do normal handstand walks pregnant if that's something that you do regularly. Let's say you do lots of handstands because you're a gymnast before you're pregnant, or you are a yogi that's quite gymnastic, or you are just a CrossFitter that's much more elite than I am, and you incorporate handstands regularly into your workouts, you might be able to do it. But because I don't, the pressure of the baby in my lungs and chest was really, really uncomfortable. And I'm always like the type of person to be like, go with what your body is feeling. And if I'm feeling that uncomfortable, I'm just not going to do it. I can tolerate a certain level of uncomfortableness, but yeah, no, not handstands. So that was another workout, or another movement within a workout that was really, really challenging. All the barbell stuff I found really, really straightforward. You do have to change your technique a little bit. And then anything that's kind of affecting your lungs and your tummy, that area, they are the most challenging elements of the workouts. And then finally, the last big challenge that I faced was recovery. So during the workouts, I would feel really, really strong, really, really good about myself, about my movements. And then afterwards, I would die, because my body was like, what the heck? So I think it was the first, I think it could have possibly, I think it was the first 25.1, the first workout. And we did it in a gym. We don't train at the gym that I went to compete in. but it's really cold in there, and it's really cold that specific day. And basically, I think my lungs couldn't take the cold air. So afterwards, I was basically asthmatic for 2 full days. I could possibly have pregnancy asthma. That's something that my midwife has suggested. But I think it possibly also could have been triggered by the fact that my lungs aren't working as well as they usually do because I'm pregnant, the cold air, and also it's located on a farm. So there's probably lots of pollen, lots of kind of particles in the air that are affecting my lungs. And I really struggled to breathe to the point that I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find any comfortable positions. It was really challenging. And then I took an asthma pump off my friend, and that basically fixed it. So that was another thing that was really challenging, was the recovery side, the fatigue. I was exhausted. My body felt horrendous the next 2 days, but not horrendous enough for me to not want to do anything. I just was like, oh, it's like everything's going to be harder today. So that is the challenges that I faced during the 2025 CrossFit Open. So this was the first workout, 25.1. It's as many rounds as possible in 15 minutes. So what you've got to do is you've got 3 lateral burpees over a dumbbell. So that basically means you've got to jump sideways over the dumbbell. You can't jump over, like from head to head, you have to jump over the handle bit. I hope that makes sense. Then you've got 3 dumbbell hang clean to overheads. So basically you lift the dumbbell towards your thigh area, so between your knee and your hip, anywhere between there, and then you clean it to your shoulder, and then you have to somehow get it over your head. You can't do that all in one movement. You have to separate that. So you would have to go from thigh height to your shoulder and then push it over your head. And that could be a strict press, a push press, or even a push jerk, anything like that. It also doesn't specify whether you have to alternate. So you could do the same arm, you could alternate arms each time. I believe that I stuck to one arm and sets of 3, and then would just change that up each time. And then you've got a 30-foot walking lunge of, 2 by 15 feet. So basically, that's really nice of them because they didn't require us to hold any weights whilst doing that. And I found that a lot easier than I expected. So when you've done round 1, you have to add 3 reps to the burpees and to the hand clean to overheads. For example, round 1, you would do 3 lateral burpees over the dumbbell, 3 dumbbell hand clean to overheads, and then a 30-foot walking lunge. Then once you've done that, you do 6 lateral burpees over the dumbbell, 6 dumbbell hang clean to overheads, and then your lunges again. And then you do 9 lateral burpees over the dumbbell, 9 dumbbell hang clean to overheads, and then your lunges again. And you just keep cycling through that for the whole 15 minutes and see how many times you can do that. There are set weights. So if you're doing this RX, you have to use a 15 kilo dumbbell. And if you are a man, you are using a 22.5 kg dumbbell. I think it's also important to work out if you're not competing or you don't want to do a RX, there are also other options and you don't have to do those specific weights. I did this whole workout RX because it's just something I could do. The only thing that actually doesn't classify as RX is the fact that I couldn't put my chest to the ground because I have a bump in the way. So because I have a bump in the way, I would basically like go into a plank position, then I would jump up and then I would jump over the dumbbell. Some people would call that a burpee anyway. CrossFit standards, it's not a burpee. So that's one thing to consider when doing that. But that was 25.1. I think it was my favorite workout out of all of them because it was just something I could do aside from the physical element. Mentally, it had elements to it that kept it exciting. You know, like you had to increase that weight. Okay. I actually need to figure out what I scored on that, but who cares? Okay. So that was workout number 1. Then we've got 25.2. So 25.2 was a repeat workout. And that basically means that this was designed in 22.3. So 2022, and it was the 3rd workout of 3 workouts. back in the day. So what this is, it's just basically you're doing the same thing. So if you, for example, did 22.3 and you recorded your scores, you can now compare your scores. Let's say you know how quickly you did this workout. You can go back and be like, I know I did this workout in 10 minutes. So this time I want to do it in under 10 minutes, for example, or even you could set yourself a goal of 9 minutes. That's what that means. So it's for time, which means it's as long as it takes you to get through this whole workout. However, there is a time cap. So if you get to 12 minutes and you only get up to halfway, you have to stop. So the workout is 21 pull-ups, and that basically means you have to pull your chin over the bar. Then you have 42 double unders, so that's skipping, but the rope goes under your legs twice in one skip. Then you've got 21 thrusters, which uses a weight of 29 kilos for the first round. And then you have got 18 chest to bar pull-ups. So instead of the normal pull-ups where your chin is going over the bar, this time your chest has to touch the bar. So it gets a bit more physically challenging. Then it drops down to 36 double unders and then 18 thrusters. And then you're going to a higher weight of 34 kilos. And then you've got finally bar muscle ups. So 15 bar muscle ups, which is basically like where you do a pull-up, but your whole body goes over the bar. And then you do 30 double unders and then 15 thrusters at a 38 kilo weight. And those weights that I've mentioned are the female weights. If you're a man, then it would be 43 kilos, 52 kilos, 61 kilos. Okay. So that is the workout for this specific workout for 25.2. It was tough. I believe I got to the 18 thruster mark, somewhere around there. So weight 2 of the 18 thrusters, although I really didn't enjoy this workout. It was the day that I did the practice round at lunchtime and then didn't end up doing the competitive workout because I was so tired. And this was 25.3. So 25.3 is for time. You're trying to get through this whole workout within 20 minutes. So this was my second favorite workout, borderline first favorite workout, because I really got through it and I actually got to the end. I didn't finish it, but I did get to the rowing at the end. So I will talk you through this. You start off with 5 wall walks. Now I had to do this workout scaled because I can't do full wall walks. I can't get my chest as close to the wall as possible just because of the pressure that I mentioned earlier on my chest. Then you have to do a 50-calorie row. That was really tough. I hate rowing. It's not made for me. I'm a short person. I didn't like it. Then you do 5 wall walks again. So for me, my wall walks basically look like hands over the line, hands under the line, hands over the line, hands under the line, which is significantly easy for me usually, but it is significantly challenging for me being upside down pregnant. And then you've got 25 deadlifts. The deadlifts and the cleans, which we will come to, and the snatches are all barbell movements. And that's where I am strong. So I really enjoyed the deadlifts. I smashed them out in like high reps. Because I was doing the workout scaled, I got the scaled weights, which I don't know what they are, but for the deadlifts, but it was super easy. I just think I did like 15 deadlifts all once and then finished the remainder off. So I did a set of 15 and a set of 10 deadlifts. Because that was super easy, when it got to the next set of barbell exercise, the cleans, I actually did the RX way. So I did my 5 wall walks, my 50-calorie row, my 5 wall walks, my 25 deadlifts scaled, my 5 wall walks, and then I did 25 cleans, but I did that at the RX weight. So the RX weight for the cleans was 38 kilos. Then I did 5 wall walks, and then I did 25 snatches. That was also RX, and that was 29 kilos. My dog is barking. Sorry. Biggie, stop that, please. Come on. And then we finished with 5 walks and then a 50-calorie row. I think I did about 10 calories on the row, and that was it. And then I got to the end, and I was so relieved, but I was really dead. And Sam really pissed me off in this workout because he basically said I had 2 more snatches to do, and I definitely didn't have 2 more snatches to do. I did all of the snatches. Anyway, it's annoying when you don't have proper judging. But that's also another point which I haven't mentioned yet, is when you do the CrossFit Open, you have a judge. So somebody is counting all your reps to make sure that you're, 1, doing the reps, and 2, you're completing the movements fully. Now, if you don't complete the movements fully, then you have to, Sam is giving me evils, then you have to repeat the movement, basically, and it doesn't count towards your, let's say, 5 wall walks. Let's say you don't touch the line on your 5 wall walks and you're like, yes, I'm done. But they're like, no, you didn't touch the line. Then you've only done 4 wall walks and you have to do another one. So it is really tough. It is mentally challenging, especially when you're not repped. Okay, so that was 25.3. It was really fun. It's also the last one. So it's just nice to know that you don't have to do this torture anymore. And then you've also got the male weights, which was 102 kilos for the deadlift, which I thought was mean, 61 kilos for the cleans, and 43 kilos for the snatches. Tough stuff, but well done to everyone who did it. And that was it. That was 25.3. It was really enjoyable. And will I do it again? Who knows? So would I do that all again? Absolutely. I really enjoyed doing the CrossFit Open this year. Despite being pregnant, I had to scale lots of movements, which was absolutely fine. But I felt amazing and I felt really proud of myself for being able to push myself and do things that most people don't do, whether they're pregnant or not. So I would also just want to talk about being a mum or being pregnant for the first time and wanting to continue doing exercise during pregnancy. Now, this is something that I've been really, really passionate about throughout my pregnancy. I understand the importance of exercise throughout the whole process, for me personally as an individual, but also from a scientific perspective. And I think we need to make that more aware to people. We need to make it more acceptable, because you do have a lot of people that are like worried about you, which is obviously just coming from love. But at the same time, you want them to be supportive of you and you don't want them to instill that level of doubt into you. So there is nothing to suggest that we shouldn't be doing exercise throughout pregnancy. Yes, there are elements that we should maybe change a little bit and modify, but we shouldn't stop and we should continue. If we are active throughout our lives and we want to continue during pregnancy, please do. If you are somebody who hasn't been exercising throughout your life and you want to start during pregnancy, there are ways you can start to incorporate that. It just has to be a lot less intense. So it could be walking, it could be cycling, it could be swimming, it could be yoga, just a lot less intense. I wouldn't necessarily encourage trying CrossFit whilst you're pregnant for the first time. Maybe leave that till after or start before you get pregnant. But that would be my piece of advice to anyone that's considering starting exercise or considering being pregnant or having a baby, and they're confused about what that looks like from a healthy lifestyle perspective. Don't get me wrong, it is really hard to exercise throughout pregnancy. There are elements of nausea. You'll turn up to the gym and you'll just be like, I feel sick the whole time. You've got this level of fatigue that makes you want to do absolutely nothing. You maybe just have lack of motivation because you're pregnant. You may have low mood. All of these things that come from pregnancy can really impact your ability to exercise throughout pregnancy. I think doing physical challenges that are suitable for you as an individual are a really great way to stay active if you are that way inclined and you like to have a set goal. My goal was just to stay active, and I rely heavily on exercise to look after my mental health. So because of that, I know that I have to exercise. I've just been on holiday, baby moon vlog coming soon. I exercised 4 to 5 out of 7 days. I did yoga, I did Pilates, I did 3 CrossFit sessions. And I always feel amazing after them. The days I don't do exercise are the days that I feel horrendous and even worse than I would if I wasn't doing exercise during pregnancy. So that's just kind of to show you the impact that it has on me and my ability to do stuff. It's not just the exercise as well, and the direct impact that has on me. I've been able to move and continue my job. I've been able to help Sam out in the garden. I've been able to help continue cleaning the house a lot longer than I thought. Like, I'm able to do daily activities that I thought I probably wouldn't be able to do at this point just because I'm pregnant, and I'm not the type of person to not want to do stuff. I need to keep moving. I need to keep doing things. I need to keep my mind busy. I need to keep my body busy. So 100% do exercise when you're pregnant. The Open was a really, really great experience for me whilst being pregnant. I learned a lot about myself. I am proud of myself. My husband's really proud of me for doing it. I pushed myself to levels I haven't experienced in a very long time, and I learned a lot about the type of person I am, and I've become a lot more confident out of it. So thank you 2025 CrossFit Open for doing that for me. But yeah, and if you have any questions, just please let me know, get in touch. talk to me about exercise in pregnancy or just pregnancy if you want. But other than that, I hope you've taken some inspiration from this video to exercise more, to not be scared of exercise during pregnancy, and to challenge yourself.